everyone, welcome to Birch and Lily. My name is Amanda and this is my channel all about knitting and cross stitch. Today is October 19th, 2020 and you're looking at me from a little bit different of a view than normal. Hopefully my hand isn't too shaky, but I am filming my craft room tour today. So I'm going to kind of show you around my whole room, how I store everything. This is also my filming room, so I have equipment for that in here as well, and yeah. Hopefully you enjoy everything. Hopefully, I don't know, I inspire some organizing. But before we get started, there are two places that you can find me on the internet. The first is on Instagram at birchandlily, and the second is on Ravelry at birchandlily. So let's jump on in, and I hope you enjoy. So I think we will start over in this corner. This is my main yarn storage. Got all sorts of stuff in here. We'll start up at the top in these two bins. I'm not going to open them up because they're heavy, but that top one there that says this and that is my box of shame. I keep all of my socks in there that I have not wove the ends in on. I have not looked in there for a long time, so I cannot tell you how many pairs of socks there are. Mostly because I have got better at weaving in ends now and I do them right when the sock is done, but I should definitely go through that bin and weave in some of those ends. The bin underneath that holds all of my printed knitting patterns. Before I started using my Kindle or my phone to read all of my patterns, I would print them off and put them in binders in sheet protectors. So I still have a lot of those, and that is where I'm keeping those right now because I don't want to throw them out. I don't really know what to do with them. So they are in there. Okay, moving on. This is the shelf that I store all of my yarn in. I don't know if I can get far enough back that you can see the whole thing all at once. No, I cannot. It's quite a tiny room. But this is where I store all of my yarn. I do have some in the closet, but that is not... Oh, actually, no, it's not where I store all of it. I'm lying. There's two other places. Anyways, this is all of my single skeins. I do have a couple sweater quantities in here as well. It was sorted by color at one point, but it's kind of just become a jumbled mess now. I will go through and sort it again at some point, but for now, this is what we have. This shelf right here has some of my sweater quantities in it. Let's see. This gray here is Sweet Fiber. This mauve sort of color is actually Knit Picks. I do have like some shawl quantities in here as well. And yeah, these other two top ones are all single skeins from a variety of brands. And then this bottom shelf here is where I store all my cross stitch patterns. So I do it similarly to how I used to store my printed knitting patterns. Let me pull this out so it's easier to show you. So basically I have binders and I put all of the patterns into sheet protectors and then sort them by designer and then alphabetically by designer in each binder. I guess I could open one to show you. So it looks like a lot because they do tend to take up a lot of space. These are, I think, 2-inch binders. Enjoy my beautiful green carpet. So it looks like I have a lot. I don't. They just are quite thick and take up a lot of space. So, okay, that won't show anything away. As you can see, I have these little tabs on the side. So they're sorted by designer, and then in each sheet protector, they are alphabetically sorted. Oops. That didn't show everything, so I think we're fine. But yeah, that is how I store all of my cross stitch patterns. And then anything obviously that's in use is in a project bag being used. But if I do have something pulled out, I will still leave its sheet protector in here empty so that it has a place to go back to when I am done. So yeah, that is everything that is on this shelf. If you're curious, I believe it is a calyx shelf. It is from IKEA, I do know that. And they have them around all the time, so nice and easy. We'll move along here. Just a couple things from my friend that I have posted up on the shelf so I can see them. And let's move to the desktop. This lamp here is a Light I purchased on Amazon. I quite like it. This does tilt a little bit, and then it turns on just with a button here. I must not have it plugged in. That is my Light. And then I have two random skeins here that I wound up for a project and then didn't start. So those need to be put away. But here in this little plastic container, I just keep a whole bunch of random notions. This container I believe I got off of Amazon. If you're curious what it is, I'm sure I can find it for you. Just ask me down in the comments. Usual place. And on top here, I have a whole bunch of random needles that I need to put away. Little stitch marker. He needs to have his lobster clasp fixed, actually. It's broken. This little baby green my husband printed for me on his 3D printer, so I keep them up there. This floss needs to go to my mom, and then I just keep a whole bunch of sewing clips in here. I will use them sometimes to hold extra fabric on my cross stitch projects, so I just keep them in that little bin. This drawer is mostly random knitting notions, scissors, darning needles, stuff like that. This drawer, what is in here? Pencils, pens, labels for my cross stitch binders, some tape. Nothing special. This drawer here has all of my extra needles for cross stitch, all of the, what would I call these? That I put my floss on. Floss rings. I do prefer these bendy guys from Amazon now. They're just like a cable with a little twist thing on the end. I got a massive pack of them on Amazon for really cheap. So that is kind of my cross stitch notions section. Here I have just a couple balms from Woolen & Co. that I use if my wrists are getting kind of sore. This drawer is, now they start to get random. I have my hole punch in here, rotary cutter. This is to measure gauge on my knitting. This here is elastic thread. Sometimes I will sew this into the cuffs of my socks if they're a little bit loose, just to tighten them up a little bit. Highlighter tape, some Ort bags, and then this is a needle cozy that I will use sometimes. This drawer here, this is mostly stationery type stuff, so stickers, anything I would use when I'm writing a letter or a note to someone, something like that. And then this final drawer here, I have my pom-pom makers, crochet hooks. I have some random DPNs in here too. Yeah, I have some random DPNs in here too. What are these called? Stitch holders. I don't tend to use those often. I used to, but I cable without a cable needle now, so I find it a lot easier to not use them. So yeah, that's what's in this drawer. And that is that whole thing there. Okay, so moving along, I do keep my ball winder attached to my desk now that I have this nice long desk. This is also from IKEA. I can't remember what it's called. It's a tabletop and then the Alex drawers come separately, basically. But yeah, I keep my ball winder attached to it at all times. I have a Stanwood ball winder and it is amazing. It's lasted me a really long time and I love it. Just a coaster right there. And then I do have an Amish Swift. I did have an umbrella Swift for a while, but it got really loose on me and it just kept dropping my skeins on the floor. So I switched over to an umbrella Swift. I do like how it packs up. It's a lot more compact and it's really easy to just set it on my countertop and use it. So that is what I'm using now. And I can't see it breaking anytime soon, so I will be sticking with that. My chair is just right here. We'll scooch that out of the way. This Afghan on the back here, my great grandma crocheted for me. This pillow I do know is from IKEA. I couldn't tell you where the purple one is, but my chair kind of rotates back and forth between this desk, and I can't turn you to the other way because my lights are in the way, but I have a second desk in here that the chair will rotate between depending on where I'm sitting. So let's just finish up what's on the tabletop here, and then I'll head into the drawers of this desk. This I just want to kit up, so that's why it's sitting out. Ghoultide Welcome from Plum Street Samplers. So I have a couple candles on here. Bourbon Maple. That is from Bath & Body Works. This one smells amazing. I got this as a gift. And then I have a couple Woolberry Fabrico candles as well. This little random sucker my dad got for me. Very fancy machine printed it, and I'm not sure what to do with it. I should actually turn it into a progress keeper, now that I'm thinking of it. But that's just sitting there because I don't know what to do with it. This basket is from a homespun house, and I've just been putting all of my minis from sock sets and stuff in there once I finish the pair of socks. So there's some that have tons of yarn left, like this one. There's some that barely have any. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them, but I've just been dumping them in there for now. And then this basket holds all of my cross stitch projects that I've started, but they're kind of hibernating. So I have like Christmas projects in here, Lantern Lane, yeah, all sorts of random things. Just stuff that I'm not working on right now. Another video that I should film for you guys actually is the cart that I keep downstairs that holds all of the projects I'm working on at the moment. But I do have one of those like 3-tiered rolling carts that I keep all of my projects in downstairs because I don't spend tons of time in this room anymore now that we got a dog, just because I have a hard time keeping it dog proof in here. But that is kind of where I keep everything I'm working on, and then anything that I'm not working on stays up here. So I definitely should film a tour of that for you guys. On the wall behind this, I have a couple pieces of art. The llama blowing the bubbles I got from, I think, TJ Maxx. And then the other 2 pieces are from Hobby Lobby. And then this in the corner here, I just got off of Amazon actually. I have yet to stain it, but I definitely should so that it stays nice. But I just hang all of my progress keepers on here. So got all sorts of them, quite a large collection. But I love them. I love being able to display all of them and kind of keep them as an art piece in here. Okay, so I have jumped back to the right side of my desk over by the cowlet shelf. We'll kind of go through these drawers here. I do have all of them labeled on the top here with a label maker, just so I know what's inside. Keeps it a little bit more organized. Sorry, I should have dusted in here. But we'll start with this drawer. So this drawer kind of is a random catch-all. There's some notions in here, scissors, scales, all sorts of stuff. And it's kind of messy. It's hard to keep this drawer organized. I got my label maker in here. I have a scale for weighing yarn, USB cord, gum, sticky tack. I have lots of little lip balms in here, a row counter, these little tags to put on projects, push pins, ponytails. It is pretty much anything. I do also have in here, if you've used the Fish Lips Kiss Heel pattern, you are asked to do foot cutouts for it, and I still keep said foot cutouts because I find them quite useful in fitting socks for people if they are not around. So I have one for myself too. But yeah, that's in there. All sorts of random things, kind of a catch-all. This next drawer here is empty right now. Not sure what I'm gonna put in there. Paper in here. I have lots of cardstock printer paper. I do have cards in here as well if I need to write a card. And then I keep these little guys from Hobby Lobby. I make a lot of my thread drops with them. So I will take a piece of this paper, glue it to some cardstock, and cut out a thread drop out of there. I keep a lot of my DMC hung on thread drops, things like that. So that is what that's for. This drawer is multiple things. I do keep all of my sock soaps in here in this little container. I mostly use Tuft Woolens, So all of them are in there because they're quite smelly, and if I don't leave them in the container, I find they tend to, well, not stink up the room, but they're quite potent. And then I do also have this from Soak in here. This is for ironing. If you spray it onto stuff, it's kind of like a scentless wrinkle releaser. So I use that once in a while. My hand balms are also in here from Tuft Woolens, stuff like that. And then I do have Ziplocs in here for packing packages. I save the bags from packages as well that they put the yarn in, so I can reuse those. And then I also keep, if I get the Eco Enclose mailers, I will keep those so that I can reuse them as well. And this final drawer is my attempt at English paper piecing. I keep all of the hexagons in here that I've made for English paper piecing. These ones are all cut and just need to be put on the little cardboard hexagons. Got an extra container. These need to be cut into hexagons. And then I have a couple other jelly rolls and stuff in here for that. I need to start stitching these together. I'm kind of nervous to do that. So I have all of the hexagons made up, and then I'm just chicken out about actually stitching them together. So I think now that it's starting to get colder, that's something I will start to do again, just because I'm spending more time inside. But yeah, that is my English paper piecing drawer. I also once in a while will use the fabric for like finishing cross stitch pieces, but not super often. I'm definitely more of a person who just likes to frame my cross stitch, so this is mostly for English paper piecing. So moving on to the other side of this desk, I do have my printer down there, and that binder is full of all my sheet protectors. Nothing special, but this is kind of my mostly cross stitch side. I kind of have them sorted between knitting and cross stitch. So this top drawer is actually where I keep all of my filming equipment. So this is my tripod. I have a mouse in here. I use this book stand sometimes to hold my notes when I'm filming, and then the box for my mic. I am using my mic right now, so it's not in here, but filming drawer. This drawer here is all my coloring books. I don't do this super often anymore, but I have a couple coloring books in here, pencil, crayons, a sharpener, stuff like that. This drawer is my cross stitch finishing drawer, basically. Just random stuff in here. I do have my punches that I use for making my thread drops in here as well. This is my glue gun mat. My glue gun isn't in here right now. I'm using it for something else, but my glue gun mat, I got cutting board, glue sticks. This here I love. I discovered it recently. This is finishing tape for cross stitch. So instead of having to hot glue down or stitch down your pieces when you are lacing them or putting them on sticky board, you can just use this on the back, and it's acid free and it's wonderful. It makes everything so fast. What else is in here? Yeah, just rulers, cutting boards, glue sticks, all that fun stuff that I would use for finishing projects. This next drawer is mostly fabric in here. I did not relabel this when I moved it around. I used to keep some other stuff in here, but right now I have my DMC color guide in here, and then I also keep all of like scraps of fabric leftovers. So I guess I do have some sulky threads in here, but it's mostly like leftover cuts or pieces of fabric. And then, oh, I do still have my floss away bags in here too. This is funny, I cleaned this literally yesterday and I can't remember what I put where, but that is this drawer. I mostly use 40 count fabric now. If you've been watching me, I'm sure you've seen me switch over to mostly using 40 count. So I do have this stack back here is all the 32 count that I used to use. So I may use that up, or I may gift it to my mother because she definitely likes stitching on that count more than I do. So yeah, that is that drawer. And then this final drawer is stuff that I have kitted to start at some point. So I have in here, I don't know if you remember from last Christmas, Heartstring Samplery put out little ornaments you can make out of tea strainers. So I have one of those kits in here still. And then just everything's in Ziploc bags. So either it's partially kitted, say it has just the floss or the fabric, something like that. But that is what I keep in this drawer. So when I'm feeling like I want to start something new, I will come to this drawer and pick something out. In the corner here, I have just my tiny little tabletop ironing board. And then this board here, my husband made me. I use it for taking photos a lot. It's just a whole bunch of cedar planks put together. But I will take photos on top of that. I'm sure you've seen it in the background of my video thumbnails a lot. This little guy right here is one of my favorite finds ever. I think I got this from Michael's, but it's a photo bin, and I actually use this to sort all of my knitting needles. So if I can one-handedly get it open, yeah, this is where I put all my knitting needles. So say I wanted, I'm trying to think which one has few ends, so it's easy to get closed. Say I wanted a US 4 needle, I can just go in here and pull it out. I do keep everything in their packages still. I find that makes it a little bit easier to store them in here. They don't fit perfectly. I'm sure you saw in that one how I have to fold them over a little bit, but it just makes them easier to keep them organized. I find if they don't have that container and they're just the cables, they're hard to keep in here sometimes. So that is all of my knitting needles in one convenient spot. I do keep a lot of my 2.25 needles downstairs on my in progress cart just because I start knitting projects quite often. So a lot of those stay down there, but otherwise this is my needle home. I do have a plastic mat for my chair to roll on down here, and I cracked it. So that's what that is. But if I slide back a little bit here, you'll see this guy. I could not tell you where this cabinet is from, but I keep all of my Woolberry Fiberco yarn and sock sets in here. And then on top, I keep all of my knitting projects that are hibernating or I need to rip out. That's basically what's in there. So let's start at the top. Yeah, like I said, this is the yarn for my nurtured sweater. Things like that are in here. I ripped these socks out and I need to figure out where I want to put this yarn, so that's in here. Just random things like that, or projects that I just haven't felt like working on lately, so they get dumped into that basket. All of these baskets are from Amazon. If you're interested in them, I can try and find a link. And like I said, this is all of my sock sets and Woolberry Fiberco yarn. So this top section here is sock sets. I also have a couple like mini skein sets in there as well. So that is what I pull from quite often when I'm knitting socks. Got all sorts of things in here from Hey Sister Fiber Co. I know there is Fiber for the People in there. Yarn ink, all sorts of things. So that's that top shelf. And then this section here, I did say it's Woolberry Fiberco yarn, but to be more specific, it is club yarn. So all of my club sock sets are in here, as well as all of my like Very Berry clubs, things like that. So those I keep all in here. The bottom is mostly sock sets down here, and then this gets into club, which I believe all of my like Very Berry clubs and stuff are on their merino cashmere base. So that's kind of what's all up in the top here. So that's what I keep in there. It's nice because I can still see everything. I love being able to see my yarn out in the open, so I try to store it that way the most that I can. So moving along from this cabinet, I'm just going to graze over here really quick. I don't use this area much for knitting. This is actually where I get ready in the morning a lot. I keep all of my makeup in here in these three cabinets, so I won't bother to show you those, but there are a couple knitting related things on here, so we'll go through that quick. Also cross stitch crafty. Down here I have a basket of frames that I have picked out to finish things in that I haven't finished yet, so it's kind of my bin of shame. And there are some label maker things on the floor that I missed. But yeah, that's kind of my frame bin of shame. And then moving up, that's just makeup stuff, getting ready. There's some random things on these shelves. That little Lego guy I got at a car show with my husband, and then just some other decorations. This little corgi anatomy thing was a gift I got from my husband for Christmas. It's absolutely adorable. The little goat is an inside joke for my husband and I as well. I do have, this is the one embroidery piece that I have done. So I have that sitting up there. And then this little bookend is holding all of my knitting books. A couple other random things too. But I have a lot of Stitch dictionaries up here, Lina magazine, all that sort of stuff. And then I do have just one other tripod in the corner stored right there. So let's move on to my closet. I just have this project bag hanging up here. This is definitely my favorite project bag. It is the bag that has all of my pins on it. So that's that. Anyways, let's open up the closet. Okay, hopefully the light isn't too bad. I will get closer and fix the lighting after. But I just wanted to give you a bit of an overview of the closet. And now let's move on in. Okay, so I guess let's begin with the top up here. Those boxes are just random, non-crafty related stuff, but these bins here hold my self-striping yarn. As you can see, the one peeking over the top, I just have them labeled with little tags here. So these two are just hanks of self-striping, and then this container here holds all, if I can get it to sit still, all of my gobstopper balls. So that is what's up there. Maybe I can tilt one. Yeah, that is what's up there. And then coming down to here, I do have all of my embroidery floss hanging up here. These are all like club colorways and stuff for when I was in clubs, so I don't put them in floss away bags just because they're not something that's going to be repeated, so I don't need to know how much I have of it, basically. But then all of my Gentle Arts, Classic Colorworks and stuff, they're all in floss away bags. So then if I'm looking for a specific color, I can flip to it and say, oh yeah, I have one skein of that, or I don't have it, or whatever it may be. This here, I just have all my finished projects that need to be framed hanging up here. So things like Love Abide, my Halloween squirrels there. Usually I will iron them as best I can and then hang them up there just so they don't get too wrinkly. As you can see, some of them are not ironed yet, but I try my best. Moving over here, do not mind the dirty wall. This is my embroidery floss bin of shame. This is everything that needs to be put away. So from previous projects that I've finished, things like that, they either need to be put in floss away bags or hung up in general. So they are sitting in there until I have the ambition to hang them up on these suckers here. And let's see, I keep all my sock blockers just sitting right here. They don't fit in any drawers, unfortunately, so they just have to sit. This little container here is from IKEA, and I actually keep all of my design socks in here. So anything that I've designed and I have a pattern out for is in these drawers, just so they keep nice and pretty, basically. So Kentworth socks, these are, what are these here? Ingleside socks, Windy Poplars. Yeah, everything is in here. These are Kindred Spirits. Why am I blanking on this name? Anyways, but this little container, I believe it's from IKEA. I got it a long time ago, so you may be able to find it still, you may not. But that's what's in there. I just have a couple random cross-stitch project bags here that have nothing in them right now. I couldn't find somewhere else to put them. And then right here, these little sock organizing containers are from Amazon. I have talked about them before, but if you're interested, I will link them down below. This is my Woolberry Fiber Co. sock box. These are all of the Gilmore Girls Club sock sets that I've knit up. I do have a video about them on my channel if you're interested. I will also try and link it on the side for you when I upload this video if you want to watch it. but I go through every single sock that is in here, talk about the yarn, the pattern, everything like that. Really fun video. And I just have another one here of socks that have their ends woven, just random things. I don't pull from here often right now because my dog will eat the socks, but once she has smartened up a little bit, this is where I pull all my socks from. And then underneath that is all of my Knit Picks Fleechy yarn. I just have it in this little bin. So that is my collection of Fleechy self-striping. So let's move on to these little plastic guys here. This is where I keep a lot of my scrap yarn, mostly, and a couple other random things. So this first drawer here, I have all of my gift knits in. So anything that I've knit up that I know I'm going to be giving away, say at Christmas, something like that, I've put it in here once I've blocked it so it stays all nice and pretty until I'm ready to wrap it. This drawer here is just a whole bunch of random mini skeins. Most of them in here are from the Woolberry Fiber Co. Advent 2 years ago, I think. So that's why they have these little gift tags on them. But there are a couple other random ones. So if I am looking for a mini skein to knit up a pair of socks, I will dig through this little bin or the rest of the scraps that I will show you down here after. It is a challenge to close because it is very full. This one is also a challenge sometimes, but I keep my interchangeable needles in here. I do have the Knit Picks wooden 4 squares. That's what I usually use. And then I also have the Chiaogu mini twist. And then I keep all of the cables for it in this little purple file folder. So that is that drawer. Moving on down, this is all of my holiday yarn. I think right now it's all just Christmas yarn in here. But anything festive I keep in here. So it's separate, so when Christmas hits, it's easier for me to pull out a Christmas skein and knit something up out of it. So that is that drawer. There's some Volan Vine in here, Woolberry. That's Lofty Loops, Homespun House, all sorts of stuff. Mostly Christmas. Okay, and then we get into all of my, oh, what's this? That is a sweater quantity that I did not move. This is from Magpie Fibers. So this is going to be used for something color work. It should be moved over to my Calyx shelf, but I obviously did not notice it when I was cleaning yesterday, so sweater quantity. And the rest of those are empty right now. But let's move on to this. That's my iron. But this is how I organize all of my scraps. So I have them sorted out by color. They're all skeined or caked up, and then I kind of sort them that way. So this bin here is all of my neutrals. So they're not really sorted by weight per se. There's DK skeins in here, or this is a singles, but mostly what I knit with is fingering, so the majority of these are fingering weight yarn. But this is just all of my neutral skeins that I can use for knitting things up. They go into these drawers after I have used them on my northeasterly blanket, if I want to use them on my northeasterly blanket. So all of these, if I want to use them on there, they've already been used. Otherwise, I'll throw them into, right now they're in this bag, but they'll head downstairs to my crafting spot on the couch, and I will put them in the blanket, and then they will get put away into these bins. Green and blue is in here, all sorts of different things. If it's hard for me to decide which bin they'll go in, I'll kind of pick based off of what I see the most of in this game. And then I try to keep them to the front of the drawer so that they're easier for me to pick out later on. This is my purple and pink drawer. This is definitely the most packed drawer, I would say. I have a lot of favorites in here. So yeah, a lot of these are enough to definitely knit another pair of socks. So when I'm knitting a gift knit, I'll usually pull out of these drawers to knit something up. This is my red and orange drawer. This neon orange was a hat for my husband. But yeah, there's all sorts of random red and oranges in there. And this drawer, I just keep all of the skeins of Knit Picks Stroll fingering that I'm using for my northeasterly blanket. If you haven't seen my northeasterly, I am alternating between using this gray and scraps on it. So I do have a lot of these skeins waiting for my blanket. And then this is all of my self-striping scraps. So any self-striping yarn, be it my Advent yarns, or this is a Star Wars one, they all sit in here. And then last couple drawers in here. This top one, I put anything that I would use for a giveaway. So I have some cross stitch patterns in here, skeins of yarn, things like that. This drawer here is all of my project bags. My cross stitch ones don't fit in here because I don't like to fold them, just because they have the vinyl front and that can crease pretty easily. So this is just all of my knitting project bags. And then I have a couple Q-snap covers. I don't use Q-snaps very often for my cross stitch, but they're here just in case I do. So I have some larger ones, mostly sock size bags. And then in the back here is all of my Christmas project bags. Yeah. And then this final drawer just has, I used to bobbinate all of my embroidery floss, so I have some of it bobbinated in this case and I don't know what to do with it, so it's sitting there. In the corner here, I have my blocking mats. That tube in the back holds all of my blocking wires. These bags here just hold all of my sticky board for finishing cross stitch projects, and this is empty. I just got a second one of those photo boxes because I figured I would definitely find a use for it at some point, and it was on a really good sale. So that's what that is. So yeah, that's the whole closet. That is how I store all my scraps, embroidery floss, things like that. It's pretty well organized, I would say. I'm pretty proud of what I've come up with. And then, okay, good, that's not too bright. I do usually keep both of my filming lights just put together in the corner there. I film every week, so it's quite hard for me to, well, not hard, but annoying to pull them apart and put them back together every time. So I usually keep them in the corner there. And yeah, that is pretty much everything in my craft room. So I'll give you one more little spin around the room, but there's a window back there, but I tend to keep the curtain closed just for filming and then it never gets opened again. But this is the craft room. I'm pretty proud of what I've done with such a small space. I feel like it's pretty organized. It definitely gets a mess, I'm not gonna lie. I definitely had to do a very large clean on it before I filmed this video, but I try to keep it pretty organized. But yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of a view into my craft room. I hope I inspired you a little bit with my organizing, and yeah, I've put a lot of work into here. I'm pretty proud of it. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you so much for joining me. If this is your first time here, please consider subscribing. It would mean a lot to me. You can also click the like button down below. That helps get my video out to other people so that they can see my craft room too. And you can also ring the little bell if you want notifications when I upload another video. Otherwise, like I said, thank you so much for joining me. If you are interested, I do upload videos every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. I alternate between knitting and cross stitch videos every week. So this week would have been a cross stitch video, but I filmed my craft room instead. So next week will be a knitting video if you're interested in that. So again, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you again next time. Bye.